Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Guys, good morning. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's having a good Monday so far. Hope the start of your week is going well. Before we get into what we're going to talk about, though, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or you can send a text message to 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you need more advice, if you're trying to figure out whether the person you're dealing with is a narcissist, if you have any questions about any of the videos that I posted, if you just want to, talk to me about something, feel free to reach out. If you want to call, just send a text to that number and just let me know your name. And just so that I know who it is, then I can get you the help that you need. If you just call me from a number, I'll probably just block your number just because I just don't answer from random numbers. So just send a text, let me know your name, and then I can get you the help that you need. All right? All right, so what we are going to talk about today, without further ado, is narcissists love money more than they love anyone or anything else. Yes, narcissists love money. The first question you're going to ask me is, why do narcissists love money? How is that possible? Why do they love money? Well, the truth is that narcissists love money because money is the root of all kinds of evil. Now, does that mean that everybody that, works and makes money and all that is a narcissist? No, it doesn't mean that at all. Don't get the wrong idea here. We're talking about narcissists. Narcissists, they love money because it is the root of all kinds of evil, in the sense that they make money the center of everything. They make money the center of everything because they believe that they know inside their minds that in order for most people to survive, in order to purchase things, in order to afford this, in order to afford that, you need money to be able to afford these things. Let's say it's a vacation. You need money to afford the plane tickets and all those different types of things. If it's groceries, let's say, if it's food, you need money to be able to purchase food. And we all know how it's going now. The cost of food is skyrocketing through the roof, right? To go to school, to afford your car, to afford this, to afford that. Narcissists know that that we need money to afford all these things. Now, narcissists don't think of money the same way that you and I think of money. We think of money as a means to be able to support ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to be able to pay for bills and things like that, right? Well, narcissists, they see money not like a totally different way. They see money in a sense as a way to control people, right? They see money as, if I can have more money than you, then that means that I'm better than you. If I can have more money than you, that means that I can hold it over your head, and that means that I can control you with my money. Right? And how do narcissists control you with their money? Well, what they do, some of the ways that they do that is let's say it's your narcissistic parent, for example. And let's say that your narcissistic parent has a really good job. Maybe they don't have a good job, but let's just say for this example that they have a really good job, right? And they can and that they have really good, they have really good money, right? Let's say. And let's say that you the child, you don't have, a lot of money, or let's say that you've fallen on hard times, for example. And let's say you tell your narcissistic parent this. And as a parent, as you think that because they're your parent, they're supposed to be there for you, right? Well, what happens there is that narcissistic parent, they're probably going to lie to you and say, oh, I don't have any money. I can't afford this and I can't afford that. And then they'll actually flip it, and then they'll say, can you help me pay for this? Even though they know that you don't have a job. And I'm just using this as an example, right? They know that potentially you don't have a job and you can't, or you just can't afford this or that, but you're asking them for help. And you're thinking that, yeah, they're my parent, they should help me, right? Well, what happens is that, yeah, they're going to gaslight you and say, oh, well, I don't have money, or you should, or you have money to afford this and help me out. And then you're scratching your head saying, but you're my parent. You're in your head, you're saying, you're my parent though. You're supposed to be there for me. Or what will even happen is that, let's say you ask them for help. Let's say that they actually help you. Right? Let's say that you ask them for help. They say, okay, I'll help you. I'll give you some dollars to pay for this and that. What they will do, if it's a narcissistic parent, what they'll end up doing is they'll say, so I helped you out this time. You need to pay me back now. And they will hold it over your head. And if you don't end up paying them back, what they will even do is they will even get the courts involved, and they'll actually try to sue you in court, even though they know that you can't afford that you can't afford it, that you needed help. See, this is how narcissists control people with money, right? And they believe, because they know inside their minds that we need money to survive, right? And they believe, and one question you ask yourself is, how do narcissists have so much money? How does it seem as though narcissists have so much money? Well, the truth, and it's not what you guys think. The truth is that many narcissists, it seems like they have a lot of money, but they don't. And I'm going to explain how. And I talked about this in one of my other videos. Narcissists, what they do, they make it seem like they have a lot of money, but it's not actually their money. What it actually is it's money that they have stolen from their previous supplies. Maybe that supply sources or relationships, whether it was a brother that they stole money from, whether that was parents they grifted money from, whether that's people that they've stolen, money from. They've said, could you give me this? I'll pay you back, in the next month or so. I get my check now. And then, they end up not paying that person back. And then that person's trying to, get to them or something like that. And then the narcissist blocks them and changes their number. And then the person tries to hunt down the narcissist, tries to find them. And then the narcissist just disappears on them, right? So what I'm saying, guys, is that not everything is what it seems like, right? So narcissists, they don't actually have money. Right? That money was money that was taken from somebody else. Or maybe that narcissist does have a job. Maybe, because some narcissists have jobs, right? So if they have a job, I can tell you right now, that money, what they're doing with that money is they're not keeping it, usually for themselves. And if they are, what they're doing with that money is they're spending it on they're being impulsive, and they're spending it on things that have no value whatsoever, right? I'll give you an example. When I was married to my ex-wife, and I think I told this story before, but for those of you who are new to my channel, and if this is your first video, thank you so much for being here and joining me on my channel here. But for this example, I told this in one of my other videos, but I'll tell it again. I like to tell my examples, some other examples, more than once, just because I know some people may have forgotten. Some people are new to the channel. Some people won't get to the other videos. Maybe it's their first video, so I'll tell it for this example. So when me and my ex-wife were married, I remember when she had come home one day, and then, because she worked, and I was working too. She was working as well as I thought that was the case. And so, she comes home one day, and then she comes and tells me that she spent over $2,000 on rings. And when I say rings, I'm talking about the rings you put on your finger. She spent $2,000 on rings. And I said, and all I could say to her was, "Oh, okay. You spent $2,000 on rings. Did you need those rings? And because you talk about money so often and wanting to have a lot of money, don't you think that, we should save our money so that we, have a lot of it, to spend later on?" And then her response to me was, "Well, you can't control me. You can't tell me what to do." And I was just like, well, I'm just saying that, you should be looking to save your money, especially because you want so much of it. And then she was just like, "You don't care about me. You don't understand me," and blah, 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 blah. And then I'm sitting there like, well, I'm just making an observation and just mentioning something that it doesn't seem like, you're doing what you set out that you want to do. Right. And so this is how narcissists, they create confusion, but it's also how they control people with money, because because narcissists know that if they can use money as a tool to control multiple people at any one time. Let's just say that the narcissist has like a bill, let's say. This is another way how narcissists control people. Let's say that they have a bill to pay. Let's say that's a phone bill for this example. And let's say that the phone bill is this amount of money that has to be paid at this time. The narcissist many times won't even pay that phone bill, right? They won't pay the bill and the reason why they do that is for two reasons. One, because you have to remember, narcissists are lazy. They don't like to do things for whatever reason because they feel entitled that they don't have to do it. The second thing is that they want to cause chaos. They want to cause chaos in the sense that they don't pay that phone bill, and then what they want is for that person, whomever's in charge of that, that company, what they want is that person to chase after them. And the narcissist wants to create chaos for that person, because then when that person's chasing after them, it's giving them supply, it's giving them energy in order to continue to, not pay that phone bill, right? And then next thing you know, what their narcissist does is they say to that person, I'll pay the bill next week. And then the next week comes around, and then the person says, did you pay the bill? And the narcissist is like, yeah, I did. And then the person says, no, it doesn't say you paid the bill. And then the narcissist is like, that's not true, I paid it. And then see what they're doing there is they're causing confusion. Now that person's confused because they're trying to find, they're looking through, all the transcripts and all the things that go into the billing cycle. They're checking all that. And then that person saying, no, you didn't pay it. And then the narcissist is like, yeah, I paid for it. And then the person's like, no, you did. And see, now they're going back and forth. Now there's confusion. Now there's no winning between them and the narcissist over the phone, right? And then what the narcissist has now over them is control. Now the narcissist can control them, and they can steal and do all those things, and that person doesn't even know what's going on. That person that's in charge. And then next thing you know, what some narcissists will do is they will actually go as far as to sue the company and bring them to court. And then what will happen is that narcissist, because they're master manipulators, right? That company won't have any grounds to stand on, because now the narcissist painted such a good lie to the judge, and the judge many times will believe the narcissist, right? So see, this is how narcissists control people when it comes to finances, when it comes to money. Let's say that, for example, let's say that you married the narcissist, right? And I'll give you an example here. When I married my ex-wife back in 2020, I came into a marriage with a lot of money. I had a lot of money. I'll say I had a lot of money. I could put a down payment on 2 homes if I want. I had a lot of money, right? So came into the marriage, had a lot of money, and she had money as well. As far as I saw, she showed me. I came to find out later that a lot of that money was her parents' money, and a lot of that money was money she stole from the previous men and people that she dealt with before she got with me. And so what had happened was that at that time when we got married, that was during the pandemic and all that nonsense, right? And so what had happened was that I had ended up spending a lot of my money, to pay the bills and all that stuff, because I thought, in good faith, that she would contribute sometime later on and that she would help out with the bills. But what ended up happening was that all that money that was in my savings that I had saved up over years of working 3 jobs and 2 jobs and working my butt off, all that money was spent. And then next thing you know, after, 3 or so years, she was gone. Like, she just up and left. So what she was doing there was that she was having me spend out all my money, and I was in hopes that she would contribute later on. And it seemed as though at one point she was contributing, like she was helping out, right? It seemed as though she was actually, purchasing. I would ask her to buy this, she would go buy that and things like that. And I thought, okay, things are all right. But then what ended up happening was that she was doing it in a very deceptive way. She even told me that, when it comes down to it, that I should do this with the money instead, because then if I do this, then what I'm doing is that then I'm allowing the bank to work for me. And then now I won't lose money so fast. And I started doing that. And then before you know it, now I'm in credit card debt everywhere around the globe. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that this is how narcissists control people with money, because they know that if they can control people with money, they believe that it gives them power. Because we've heard it, money, there's power, that money, the more money you have, the more power you have, right? And to an extent, that's true. That has some truth to it. But at the same time, we have to understand that money can't buy happiness, right? It doesn't matter how much money you have. Many people have millions of dollars and they're still not happy. They believe that they should have $1 trillion or $1 million or this amount of money or that amount of money. And they're never satisfied, because as human beings, we're never satisfied with what we have, right? And so when it comes down to it, narcissists believe that money's going to cure everything. But narcissists also know that nothing will ever. That's why narcissists are so delusional, because they think that, because they know inside their minds that nothing's ever good enough for them, but yet they make it seem as though whatever they get is going to be good enough for them. That's how they're deceptive, and that's how they master manipulate people, right? And so when it comes down to it, narcissists know that no amount of money is going to satisfy them, right? They could have billions of dollars. They could have 3 companies. They could have this. They could have that. And it will still not be good enough for them, right? That's why narcissists are never satisfied. That's why they're always going around stealing from people. That's why they can never sit still and just enjoy things the way that they are. Because they've destroyed too many lives. They've stolen too much money from people in order to be able to sit still. Right? That's why they can't sit still, because they've stolen so much from people, and more people are catching on. And in fact, a lot of the supplies and people that they dealt with or were in relationships with before, many of those people actually come for them. And when I say come for them, I mean that they target the narcissist. And narcissists, don't think that the narcissist gets off scot-free. They don't get away scot-free. It seems that way because they did what they did to you, and they just went off and went off to somebody else. But I can tell you right now, the narcissist, as long as they're breathing air on this planet, they are not, their lives are not happy as it seems, because their lives go sideways. They lose money more times than anybody else does, but they just don't want you to see that, because narcissists are scared. Narcissists are insecure. Narcissists are always looking over their shoulder. They're paranoid. And so because they're so paranoid, they believe that they should always make it seem like they have more than anybody else does, right? But it's not true. Narcissists don't have what you have. That's why they need to steal money from people, because they don't have money. That's money that they stole from their parents, or stole from their siblings, or stole from other people. That's why, when we were married, I was actually quite smart. I was smart in the sense that I never made it seem like I needed her money. I always made sure that I had money, and I was working and taking care of us and the marriage and all that stuff. I was always doing that for us. But she wanted to make it seem as though she could control me. And she even said it to my face one day. She was like, "Babe, I want to control you." And I was just like, "But why would you want to do something like that? You knew that, from the get-go, that because we're supposed to be Christians, that, the man is the head of the household." That's what I said to her, right? And then all I got was the silent treatment. And then she's like, "But you are in control. You are." And I'm just, so then what are you talking about? So that's how narcissists try to create confusion, right? That's why narcissists, they know they're doing it. And they know that they've done it to multiple people before they got with you. And they're also doing it to people while they're with you too, right? That's why narcissists, they're never sitting still. They're never enjoying life. They can't enjoy life because they've destroyed too many people's lives to be able to enjoy life anyway, right? So what I'm saying, guys, is, narcissists, they can't love. And I made a video on that previously. If you're new to my channel, go watch that video entitled "Narcissists Cannot Love at All," because they can't love at all, right? Because they know that they're shallow people. They know that they're mentally insane. They have a disorder inside their mind that makes them lack the ability to empathize. They cannot empathize with anybody. So don't think that narcissists live lives of peace and happiness and all that, and that, the person that they discarded you for is gonna, make them happy. That's nonsense. That's completely nonsense. That person isn't gonna make them happy. Whether it's your sibling that your narcissistic parent is lathering up now, that your narcissistic parent is going to destroy them, disrespect them, just like they disrespected you. But see, what you have to understand, and I mentioned this in one of my videos, guys, and this is really important, and I think that you should take note of this. What you need to understand about narcissists is that they do the exact same playbook with every single person they come in contact with. The only difference is that they just do it in different doses, in different time zones, depending on what those people can provide for them. It all depends on the narcissist. It all depends on what they're looking for. If let's say you have a supply of money, then they will most likely hop to somebody who has a lot of money. If it's somebody who, you know, just is somebody who can listen to the narcissist will keep them at arm's length over there while they're lathering up that supply right there with who has all the money and all that. They will keep that arm's length, and once the narcissist takes all that person's money, they will reel that person back in, and then they'll push that person away. So see, everything with the narcissist is push and pull, push and pull, push and pull, because this is what they do. This is their game. This is how they manipulate people. This is why the narcissist loves money, because they know that they can control people. They know, and again, I'm reiterating what I said before. Narcissists know that if they can take somebody's money and control somebody's money, then they know that they can have that person on a hook. They know that they have control of that person. All right. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about, guys. That narcissists love money more than anyone or anything, because it's because they need it, because they believe inside their delusional minds that they can use it as a means to control people. So yeah, I hope that this video helped you out. Thank you so much for being here on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Like I said, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or send a text message to 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you need some advice, please feel free to reach out. I'm here for you guys. If you need anything, please feel free. I'd be more than happy to give you the help that you need, give you the guidance. And yeah, hope that you enjoy your day today. Thank you so much for being here. See you on the next video.